It set into motion really a seismic shock through the entire NBA.
For more now, let's welcome in our Adrian Wojnarowski, who actually broke this news.
What can you tell us, Woj?
Adrian is here.
Once Anthony Davis's agent, Rich Paul, told Pelicans officials over the weekend that his client would not sign a contract extension with the organization and wanted a trade out of New Orleans, your perspective on the news really depends your agenda. As an organization, the New Orleans Pelicans had feared for some time that this day would come, that Anthony Davis would tell them that he no longer wanted to play there, he wouldn't re-sign long-term. And the one thing New Orleans officials have been clear internally and in their conversations externally is that they're not going to be rushed into a trade for Anthony Davis. They need the Boston Celtics in pursuit of Anthony Davis because the Celtics have the most assets. It's going to force everybody else in the league to raise their offers. They're in a position now over the next 10 days to solicit offers around the NBA and ultimately decide, is there something out there that absolutely blows us away and we need to do now, or can we just wait into the spring? And for the future of this organization, what they get in return is going to define this organization's course for years to come. Perhaps more than any team in the league, the Lakers are a beneficiary of Anthony Davis informing the Pelicans that he wants a trade now out of New Orleans and that he won't sign a contract extension this summer. It gives the Lakers a window to try to negotiate, pursue a deal with the Pelicans, while Boston essentially has to sit on the sidelines. So the Lakers, who are a preferred destination of Anthony Davis and his agent Rich Paul, have an ability now to do what they didn't do with Kawhi Leonard last year or Paul George 2 years ago. And that's to make available the young assets they have, perhaps multiple draft picks. They didn't make a good enough offer on either of those two stars. They didn't get Paul George, and they're certainly coming from behind in free agency in July with Kawhi Leonard. It behooves LA right now to put the kind of deal together that New Orleans can't say no to. This window between now and the trade deadline is really crucial for LA to try to be creative and find a way to convince New Orleans to do a deal with them. For years, the Boston Celtics have been accumulating young players, draft assets, and their focus all along has been for a singular purpose: to try to acquire Anthony Davis in a trade whenever he became available. But here's the problem for the Celtics between now and the February 7th trade deadline, that not until after July 1 can the Celtics acquire Anthony Davis and have two players on a designated rookie exception together on a roster. So for Boston in the short term, here's the conversation that their GM, Danny Ainge, probably has to have with the Pelicans. Bear with us. We are going to make a compelling offer for Anthony Davis when this season is over. Don't do anything in the short term. Wait for us. We have more to offer you than anybody else. And New Orleans knows that Boston has the confidence, even if Anthony Davis and his agent Rich Paul tell the Pelicans and tell the rest of the league that he'll only sign an extension with the Lakers, which is conceivable in the coming days. Boston has the confidence that if they brought Anthony Davis in, that with his relationship with Kyrie Irving, with the organization they have, the tradition, the history, and the kind of team they would still be able to put around him, that they'd be able to keep him in free agency. Another focus for Boston is Kyrie Irving himself. Now, he has said publicly that he's going to re-sign with the Celtics this summer, but Boston knows this: the team has not gelled yet the way they hoped it would. They're certainly further down in the standings than any of them expected. And if this team has an early exit out of the playoffs, they run the risk of Kyrie Irving reconsidering his future. And Boston certainly knows that bringing on Anthony Davis solidifies them not only with having Davis going forward, and that Kyrie Irving is fully on board on his future with the Celtics too. For some big market teams and contenders in smaller markets, here's the conversation that's going on in their front offices in the aftermath of the Anthony Davis news. Are we willing to trade our young assets, draft picks, players in a deal to take on Anthony Davis potentially as a rental? And teams like Toronto, Milwaukee, the possibility of adding Anthony Davis might make you the runaway Eastern Conference favorite. It might allow you to compete with Golden State in the finals. And teams like that are going to ask themselves, and the conversations they're having is, if we make a trade for Davis, we give up assets, could we possibly recoup those assets at the end of the year if Anthony Davis tells us he's still going to leave, he won't stay? Well, they can get into an auction situation with the Celtics, with the Lakers, and flip Anthony Davis again after the season, but have him for a short-term run. That's certainly one of the possibilities among a lot of them around the league with a player of Davis's stature available. If Anthony Davis and his camp want to resist that kind of rental deal that puts them somewhere just for the short term, they can certainly get word out that A, we won't stay anywhere we're traded to, we're going to go to LA in free agency, or B, that injured finger he has, that injury may linger and a team may not get him on the floor as much as they'd like to have. Those are certainly options at the disposal of Rich Paul, Anthony Davis, as other teams start to gauge interest in making a run for Anthony Davis, especially teams that know they're not a preferred destination right now for him to sign long term. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube, and please subscribe to our channel, and be sure to watch for more Woj Reports on ESPN's YouTube channel.